Welcome back, class. This video is going to be talking about how we can use mathematics in everyday life and a certain job that does use math in everything that they do, and it's called engineering. All right, so this assignment, like I said in the last video, is not graded, but it's a good way to get you to start thinking about how we are going to use the concepts we're going to learn all year and why they're so important. Okay, so let's take a look at what engineering actually is. You may have heard the term before, but just so you know, let's give you a simple definition. So engineering, again, in a simple definition, is just a person who designs, builds, or maintains engines, machines, or public works. And what a public work is, and we all use them all the time, it's a building like a regular old tall-story building, right? It could be a bridge, it could be a tunnel. Okay, we've all experienced or used a public work before. It could even be roads. Now, in engineering, that's such a broad term. It covers a lot of different things. But there's 6 major branches, right? And those branches are mechanical, so those people who make machines or engines, those are mechanical engineers. Chemical engineers, these are the people that are making synthetic fibers, they're making plastics, they're maybe creating a different chemical that can help and benefit the public. There's civil engineers. These are the people that are making civil projects like our roads, buildings, bridges. There's electrical engineers. They're the ones that are using electricity to make devices like our smartphones, our computers, our cameras, things that take electricity to run. There's management engineers. This one's not talked about that often, but these are the people that are making our businesses run better, more efficient, make the most money, okay, make better products. And geotechnical engineers. A geotechnical engineer you may not be familiar with, but you may have seen it before because just over on the mountain near our school, you've seen geotechnical engineers at work. They're the ones that are surveying our earth, our rock. Like if we ever do strip mining, okay, there's geotechnical engineers that are making sure that there's structural integrity to make sure the whole mountainside doesn't collapse while our miners and while our people who are working at these job sites make sure that they're safe. Okay, so that's just 6 branches of engineering, but there's so many different subcategories of engineering in each one of those, right? So for an electrical engineer, that might be their title, but there's like IT engineers, someone who helps build computers, or cyber engineers, the ones who are working on our firewalls and to protect us from viruses and to look at the mechanics of a computer. Okay, so there's so many different types of engineers that maybe you would be interested in when you grow up and choose what career you'd like to do. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at a video, just a short video, about how engineers work in our everyday lives. Okay, so make sure that your volume is turned up and just watch the video along with me.
The United States Capitol Dome is a beautiful and iconic part of the Washington, D.C. skyline. But by the year 2000, this symbol of American democracy was literally rusting to pieces.
This is a restoration 56 years in the making to preserve one of the nation's real architectural treasures. Just a couple years ago, it was riddled with rust and with cracks, some of them up to 10 feet long.
Who can help solve the problem of how to safely restore a structure built more than 150 years ago? Ask an engineer. Engineers are innovators who apply math, science, and technology to do things like solve problems, make improvements, and create products that we use every day. From the restoration of a building, to wiring electrical components in a computer, to designing new airplanes and rockets. Projects like these require the knowledge and skill of an engineer to complete them. There are over 40 different types of engineers. Structural engineers help build things like homes, bridges, and tunnels. They use physics and math to build stable structures that are safe to occupy and don't collapse easily. Electrical engineers work with anything that uses and conducts electricity, like the wires that turn the lights on in your classroom, generators that power entire cities, and navigation systems on airplanes that fly across the world. Chemical engineers use their expertise in chemical reactions and properties to develop processes to turn raw materials into things we can use, like creating synthetic fibers for water-resistant clothes. Aerospace engineers have the difficult and exciting task of developing aircraft, spacecraft, and even vehicles that can drive on the moon or rocket to Mars. All types of engineers are crucial to solving modern problems and making improvements, like developing more fuel-efficient airplanes, to historic projects like the Capitol Dome restoration. The $60 million Capitol Dome restoration project officially began in the fall of 2013, with the goal of repairing, restoring, and preserving the craftsmanship of the nearly 9 million pound cast iron dome. Constructed just after the Civil War, the cast iron dome was made to look like stone. Over the years, the shell has been worn by the elements, water damage, and history.
14 layers of paint. Some of them were upwards of over 150 years old, so everything will get completely removed.
Workers first had to install more than 1 million pounds of scaffolding, 25 levels of it, to cover the entire dome.
So it free spans in between these levels without touching the actual skin of the dome.
By applying math, science, and technology to complete the repairs, engineers will ensure that the United States Capitol Dome will be preserved for future generations to enjoy.
So there's a lot of interesting facts that are inside that video. I love watching it since I grew up right outside Washington, D.C., so I would see those buildings all the time. And there's always structural engineers that are working on these buildings to make sure that they're safe, to make sure that they don't come collapsing down, and to make sure that they are still standing for all of us to enjoy for years to come. But one fact I love is that it talks about how heavy that cast iron dome is, 9 million pounds. To put that in perspective, a blue whale, right? A blue whale is one of the largest and heaviest animals on our planet. And that dome weighs about 20 of those blue whales, right? So if we were to put 20 blue whales together, the weight of those animals, that's how heavy that cast iron dome is. That's insane. So that's why these structural engineers are constantly working using mathematics to make sure that we're distributing the weight properly so that it stays standing and can't collapse or hurt anybody. Okay, so this is what I want you to try on your task. It says improving Kaiser. I want you to think like an engineer. Okay, so anything and everything, it may have already been made, but it can always be improved upon, right? So I want you to take note of the things that are around you. If it's inside of our classroom, if it's the school in general, maybe it's something around our community, maybe it's a building, maybe it's your home. What's something that you think, and this is what the first question is, what do you think can be better? What can be built better? What can be built stronger? Maybe something that can run faster. Maybe it's a car. Maybe it's a phone. Maybe it's your laptop or a tablet. What's something that could be smaller or bigger? Because one thing I always joke about, these cell phones have gotten super skinny, right? And I even have a case on it. They used to be bulky, and this is like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, they used to be really bricks, right? They've gotten smaller. They're running faster. So engineers have made more efficient cell phones. What idea can you think of as an engineer? That's the second question. The third question is, whatever your idea is that you think you can improve upon, what materials do you think it would need to accomplish your goal? The fourth question is asking about how much do you think your project is going to cost? So do a little research. Use the internet. Use the materials that are at your disposal, right? Look up how much your item may cost. Okay, and the way you can do that, let's say we want to improve upon our water fountains, right? So our water fountains in the school, they're a little bit older. We could get brand new ones, right? There's some that even scan your water bottle and fill it up to the exact amount. There's ones that make sure that the water is a perfect cold for you. Sometimes we all know the water doesn't come out always cold. How much do you think it would cost to get one of those? Maybe you want to design a better one. Think about how much it would cost for you. And the last question is, I want you to think why. Why would your project be a good thing? Okay, because that's part of the job for structural engineers. They don't just go out and start tearing down things and building them back up. There's always a reason why engineers are thinking the way they do and working on the projects that they're working on. So that's what your assignment is. And let me show you on Schoology just where all of this is taking place and what I want you to do. So when you go to our second week, right, here's the folder. Here's our first video. Okay, here's the introduction quiz. Here's the discussion board that are due on Sunday, September 20th. But here's the enrichment. Think like an engineer. This is where this video is going to be posted. When you click on this, the video will be right here. And these are the questions that I just talked about that I want you to answer. When you have a good answer and you want to participate in the discussion, just click right here where it says write a comment and answer these questions. Tell me about the idea or the project that you would like to accomplish as an engineer. Okay, and I'll respond. Your classmates can respond, but that way we're thinking like engineers. We're using mathematics and applying it in the world around us. So I look forward to seeing your answers. If you have any questions, as always, just contact me right here on this little envelope, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And yeah, so let's apply mathematics and see how it goes. Okay, I'll see you in the next video.